Happy 2026 from the Powerful Communication Podcast here at Comsteria. This is Colin Kelly, back into the thick of it, and thank you very much for being one of the loyal few that listen to this podcast. I was sharing some reflections over on our YouTube channel recently about e-commerce, because I had such a great experience. I'm at this age and stage in my family life now where, I don't know if this happens to you, but I now buy some of my own Christmas presents, give them to Emma, and then she wraps them up and gives them to me. And then I go, oh, what a lovely mug. And one of my favourite bands, you might know I love my music and I love rave music, and one of my favourite bands growing up was called Ultrasonic. And their frontman, a wonderful guy called Mallorca Lee, sadly passed away a couple of years ago. Anyway, they have an online merchandise store, and his daughter, Angel, in amongst her, I think she's at university, in amongst her other commitments, she runs the Ultrasonic merchandise store. And anyway, I went on there and I bought this mug. But when the mug came, it had a little tag attached that said, ho, 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 Merry Christmas, Colin. Thank you so much for your order. Love, Angel. Which I thought was a really nice personal touch. But even more than that, inside the mug was a sachet of Nescafe coffee. Hadn't ordered it, hadn't asked for it, didn't expect it, didn't know about it. A tiny little touch. But it's fair to assume that, well, if somebody's ordering a mug, he's probably going to drink something, and it might well be coffee. It's not, by the way, as anybody that knows me will say. Maybe some tea would have been better, but never mind. It was a lovely gesture. And I thought it's quite interesting that she has taken the time to personalise it, to give more than I had expected. And what's interesting to me as the consumer is they're by no means the only e-commerce operation that does that. Some do, but there are many that don't. And it's interesting to me, why would you do that? And also, why wouldn't you? And if you're in e-commerce, I think it's really worth asking yourself that question. Why do we do this? Because you could take it too far. It could cost you money. It could damage your business. You might not also always know the benefits that it brings. Like, I'm not back on there buying more mugs, but I'm telling lots of people about this shop and about their attention to detail. Now, I don't know, are you going to go and buy a mug or a t-shirt or a hat? I've no idea what music you like. So it might help them, but equally it might not. So why do they do it? And my guess is because it feels good to them, which is quite interesting. And if you're one of these business owners then that doesn't do things like that, it's worth just asking yourself, well, why not? And if the answer is, well, because we don't care, that's absolutely fine. That's perfectly valid. But it's worth you knowing and recognising that, hey, we don't care. If you're involved just purely in the marketing side of the business and you care, but maybe the people owning it telling you what to do, maybe they don't care, it's maybe interesting for you just to come to that realisation if you haven't already. The other thing that hit me again over Christmas was buying some things like digital downloads, online products, tickets for things. And of course, because now you don't get the physical item, it's quite challenging sometimes to have something physical to wrap that up and to make that special, if you were giving it as a gift. And so what sometimes goes on in our house is, and it's usually Emma because she can design things, she'll go on maybe to something like Canva or Adobe Express or whatever it is, and she will design a gift voucher, wrap it up, shove it in an envelope, give it to somebody so that they've got something to open and they go, oh, wow, we're going to see that show at the theatre, or, I've got you a subscription to a magazine or whatever the thing is. We're going to that game. And it just occurred to me that the retailers, most of them, don't do anything to make that any easier, right? So you can spend quite a lot of money buying a ticket for something and you basically get sod all, right? Now, there are some that will offer you something kind of smart and laminated for an extra fee, but there are a lot that don't even consider it It doesn't occur to them. They don't do anything around it. It wouldn't take much, and I'm not talking here really about big providers, because some of them probably are looking to add on, here you can get a laminated ticket if you pay more money. I'm talking here about really small grassroots local musicians, bands, very small sports like my local ice hockey team, my local football team. It wouldn't take much on the page where you buy the product. It wouldn't take much for somebody to design a Canva template that when you click it, it's got your logo, your branding on it, and all I need to do is type in somebody's name and then I can download that. You should be able to do that in 5 to 10 minutes. Again, what do you get from that? What does that mean? My guess is you just get that little bit of goodwill. And I think one of the things that people don't understand is when we talk about e-commerce in particular, there's space available. There's space up for grabs. You have more fans than you realise. I think sometimes we think, God, I'm talking to nobody. I'm shouting into the ether. How can I do this? There's nothing happening. There are people there. You do have fans. Now, it might be a couple of dozen. It might be a couple of hundred. My guess is it's nowhere near as many as you'd like. And in the grand scheme of the world of social media, it will feel like a drop in the ocean. But there's space available, right? Here we're looking at this year, who am I going to buy presents for? There's probably about a dozen people at some point this year when I think about children and friends and colleagues and other family members. I'm going to buy about a dozen presents, right? I'm maybe going to buy jewellery for the first time in God knows how long. And it won't be for me and I know nothing about it. So who's going to guide me through that process? I've got a favourite singer. And last year, I haven't spent any money on her for 18 months because she hasn't gigged and she hasn't had a product out. 18 months, I haven't given her any money. There's no merch. There's nothing I can give her. There's no way I can support her career. And it fascinates me, particularly when I hear music artists saying, I need, I get sod all for streaming. I need to, should I start a Substack or a Patreon, or could maybe get them to subscribe for £4 a month to a paid Substack or a paid Patreon, or maybe they buy me a virtual cup of coffee. I don't want to do that, but do you know what? I'll give you £15 for a t-shirt or a hat or a calendar. Or I'll give you 20 quid for an album of remixes or an album of outtakes. Or what about that band my brother-in-law really likes, or my sister-in-law? They've got all the albums, they've got all the merch. Okay, wow, for 30 quid, I can get them a personalised video message from that singer that they really like. These things, they don't need to be the reserve of desperate, washed-up actors. They don't need to demean you and diminish you and make you feel like you've sold out. You can use these things to make the world a brighter, happier place. You can use these things to promote value, to put good things out there, and to build connections with people who are just quietly sitting there going, I really like you. And yes, we've talked about musicians and bands, and we've talked about sports organisations, but you could extend this further. It could be, and I know that I'm a bit weird. I think that's widely documented. But I'll tell you something. I'm not the only one. There's no way I'm the only one. So why can't it be a brand of porridge or a podcaster or something like a hi-fi shop or a jeweler? Or a service provider in the local community? Why not? Have you even asked? Have you made any effort to find out? Or are you just assuming? And I think that these algorithms and this social media and all this division that the world has been through the last few years, I think it has beaten many of us down, and we've assumed that it's all bad and that no one's on our side and it's all against us. The reality is quite different, and it's handfuls of people, but these handfuls are really valuable. And I think there's probably more they'd buy from you if you gave them the opportunity. And that's all I wanted to say. So if you're still listening, there is a space on my wall for a calendar. It's January 13th. I'm not going into February without a calendar. So at some point in the next 28 days, I am going to buy a calendar, and I will consider anyone. So email me. I don't care if you make sausages in your calendars, just various stages of sausage production. First person to ask me to buy their calendar, it's going on my wall. You could be a musician, you could be an accountant, anything. I am here, ready. If you can do it for 15 quid, I'm buying the calendar. So I'm open to offers. Good luck.